Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, assalamu alaikum. Good evening, good morning, good night to all of you. We are so pleased to have so many people in this meeting from all over the world in different time zones. I am Shakira Mohammed of Trinidad and Tobago, a teacher for the past 15 years, and this is our 180th edition of our Zoom public meeting. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this ongoing Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora global project. For 179 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. And in the past 3 years, 8 months, and 3 weeks, we have featured 760 presenters from all parts of the world, speaking on 179 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And like today, we often partner with the Amina Ghafoor Institute for the Study of Indentureship and its Legacies, led by Professor David Davidine. Today, we are also being partly supported by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts in Trinidad and Tobago. In order to continue this weekly program and to make it bigger and better, we are asking for your suggestions for volunteers as well as donations, and you can contact Dr. Kumar Mahabir for details. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to also recognize and support those from Israel and Palestine and to have this violence resolved peacefully. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator this evening or tonight is Shalama Mohammed, the co-director of this Zoom platform, who is a business teacher and researcher from Trinidad and Tobago. And she obtained her master's degree in business psychology from Franklin University in the USA. So Shalama, welcome. Can you unmute? Robin, can you unmute her, please?
Great. Thank you very much, Shakir. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Namaste, and a warm welcome to all of you. I want to say thank you so much for choosing to be here with us. So this public meeting will take the form of conversations with our honored elders, followed by questions and comments from members of the audience. The entire program today should last about 2 hours. This meeting is being recorded live and will be uploaded later on YouTube permanently for posterity. We are also live streaming on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, so welcome to all of you on YouTube. To avoid intrusions from trolls, Robin Ramsing, our IT manager, has muted everyone. Speakers, please do not admit anyone, do not unmute anyone, and do not allow anyone to share your screen, please. Thanks for your cooperation. Today, as I said before, the conversation will be live with Indian elders, and this is part 14. Having and recording live conversations with our Indian elders carry profound significance and urgency. It serves as a vital link to our rich cultural heritage and the collective wisdom of generations that are unfortunately passing on. These conversations provide a bridge between the wisdom of the past and the aspirations of the future, fostering a deeper understanding of our history while hopefully inspiring younger generations to preserve and carry forward the legacies of their elders. So let me introduce you to our first elder today. And this is Mr. Raj Latchman, who is 87 years old, and he is from South Africa. I want to welcome Dr. Kogilam Archery Parthab, who would have done a pre-recorded interview with him, and we will show this to you now. But Dr. Parthab is going to introduce you to Mr. Latchman. She's a research associate at the University of South Africa and the series editor of Tell Your Mother's Story, a publication of the Oral History Association of South Africa. So welcome to you both. Kobi, you want to go ahead?
Vanakkam, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum. It is now 9:15 p.m. in South Africa. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Raj Latchman to this audience, born on the 2nd of October, 1936 in Durban in South Africa. He is a retired educator and was a volunteer on many committees. The interview with Mr. Latchman was held on the 1st of November last week because we have load shedding issues in our country, and we didn't want to take a chance of not being able to connect should we have had load shedding this evening. However, Mr. Latchman is in the audience, and he's well, happy and very ready to take on any questions that you may have, and I'm sure he's firing on all cylinders to answer your interesting questions, so which you can post to him once the presentation is over. I would also like to share that Mr. Latchman is featured in this book called The Unsung Heroes, which was launched this year in July. Ladies and gentlemen, this presentation today is also significant for the Indians in South Africa, because on November 16th, 1860, the first shipload of Indians arrived in this country from India. And this year marks 163 years since the arrival of the Indians in South Africa. Thank you, Shalima. I now hand you over to Shakira, or to Shalima, whoever's going to give. Thank you.
Okay.
How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Great.
How are you?
No, I'm good, thank you, Mr.
That's
Latchman.
good.
I've been looking forward to interviewing you for a few weeks now.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that we finally managed to get together this morning. As you know, this interview is going to be aired live on the 4th of November and hosted via a Zoom session from Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Fine.
Right. And, basically I've been asked to interview you in terms of your heritage, in terms of you being a South African Indian,
Sure.
and especially in terms of you being an elder in the Indian diaspora.
All right.
So, Ms. Latchman, can we start the interview with you telling me a little bit about yourself, like where were you born, your siblings, your parents, and take us right back to the 1930s.
All right. I was born on the 2nd of October, 1936, in a place called Springfield, which is a district of Durban in the province of KwaZulu-Natal from South Africa. My parents were Latchman Kitwaru. My mother was Sukhya Gullu. They were colonial born, and I miss Springfield because that is where I was born. I have 8 siblings. Only 2 of them are living now.
Okay. All right, so you said that your parents were colonial born, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about their parents? Did their parents come from India, or were their parents also born in South Africa?
Both my maternal grandparents and my paternal grandparents were from India, and they were indentured laborers, and they worked in sugarcane fields around Durban.
Okay, so do you have an approximate idea as to when they may have come to South Africa and which area from India they came from? Can you tell me what you recall about your grandparents?
No, I don't have those particulars, but they did come from India, and strangely enough, both couples came the same ship, and probably they were married before they came.
Okay, all right. And do you recall any stories that your grandparents may have shared with you or with your mom about when they landed in this country? What were the experiences like? What did they have to do, about the type of food they ate, or the clothing they wore, or their working lives? Anything at all you can remember?
Unfortunately, I don't have any such information because I was about 10 years old when my maternal grandmother passed away. I have no recollection of any of the other grandparents. And I never spoke to my grandmother about her experiences as a laborer on the farms.
Okay. All right. So would you be able to tell me a little bit about your parents now? Like, where did your father work? How did him and your mom meet up? Did your mom work out of the home? What was like for your parents?
My mother was a housewife, as far as I remember, all her life. My father was a cobbler, and he had various shops before he moved to 33 Madrasa Arcade in the Grey Street complex. That is where he had his shop until he passed away in 1952.
Okay. So, you know, you are of indentured heritage, right? So, how do you think your father moved out of the sugarcane plantations and work on the farm to becoming a cobbler? How was it possible for him to make that transition?
I'm not sure whether my father also worked in the sugarcane plantation, because if he did, he would have been qualified to own a 5-acre land or a free passage back to India. But none of that was realized.
Okay, all right. So how do you think he became a cobbler? Like, where did the interest may have come from? Was there a need in the community, or, you know, any sort of recollections?
I don't know how he learned the trade.
Yeah.
I cannot speculate how that happened.
Okay,
really.
All right. And in terms of your uncles and aunts, your father's brothers and sisters, right? Any types of work that they did that was unusual or different, or where were they employed?
One of my uncles, Raj Kumar, he was the first Indian undertaker in Durban, probably in the whole country.
Okay.
And his business lasted for many, many years. And that is where two of my other uncles also worked, and they made coffins, and they drove the hearse, and they did clerical work in the business.
Okay, that's very interesting. Mr. Latchman, so now you tell me that you were born in 1936, right? And we know that you eventually became a teacher. Can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing, your childhood, the type of games you used to play with your brothers and sisters, the type of food that your mom prepared for you, and, you know, the clothing that you wore? Can you share a little bit about that period in your life until about you were 10 years old?
When I was born, 3 years after that, the Second World War started. We were subjected to a lot of very, very strict conditions. There was shortage of food, there was shortage of implements, shortage of clothing. My mother used to sew the clothes for us. In those days, mielie meal was sold in bags. She used to cut up those bags and sew our tops and sew our pants.
Okay.
I started school in a small building in Springfield, a 2-room building where I was in the introductory class and in class 1. From there, we moved to Catermatter because the authorities took over the place where we stayed for council houses. While we were in Catermatter, I attended the Booth Road Primary School. I was there from grade 3, that was class 2, up to standard 3, today's grade 5.
Okay. Mr. Latchman, I need to stop you there in the interest of time, but I'd like to know a little bit about how did you make the choice to become a school teacher?
After I matriculated at Sastry College in 1956. We didn't have funds to go to university where I could do a degree. I was very interested in doing pharmacy, but we had no means. But the department supplied us with bursaries to do a teacher training course for 2 years. So I took advantage of that and I qualified as a teacher at the end of 1958.
How many years did you teach for Mr. Latchman?
I taught for nearly 34 years. And my career ended as a principal of a primary school. After teaching in many primary schools and many secondary schools until the 1st of March when I retired, when I had medical boarding.
Okay.
From then, I am still in retirement.
Okay. So can you just share with us just one incident from your schooling career, as a teacher, that stands out for you, where you feel you really made a difference? Just one incident or one episode.
That episode will be when I took the children on an excursion to the south coast, to the crocodile farm. And the supervisor came up to me and told me if I was the leader, and I said yes. He told me that this was the first time he had seen such wonderfully behaved students. I told him, that doesn't matter to me. I'll give you the phone number of my principal. You speak to him and you tell him about it.
Oh, lovely. Excellent, Mr. Latchman. Mr. Latchman, so I just want to, skip on ahead with our interview. Can you tell me a little bit, in terms of the Indian culture that we have maybe maintained and that maybe we have lost in South Africa? Indian culture, some sort of comments on that?
I will start off with a story when a friend of mine sold me the Ramayan for 200 rand. I looked at it, I couldn't make head or tail of it, I put it away. Until I joined the Avoca Sri Lakshmi Narayan temple, and our leader, our president, temple president, Mr. Panchu, gave us lessons on the Ramayan. He taught us so well that today I'm able to read mostly the English version, and I've grown a love for the Ramayan and our other Hindu Sanskrit texts.
So, Mr. Latchman, what are the Indian festivals or ceremonies do you participate in?
Our temple celebrates all of the festivals and prayers that we Hindus are supposed to celebrate on the Sanskrit calendar. We stick close to it, and devotees come in large numbers and support the temple, and we have a very, very grand prayer ceremony.
And I'm now almost at the end of the interview, and time has really gone by, Mr. Latchman. So what is the secret of your long life?
I have no formula, but I'll tell you what I do. There is a cliche which says, everything in moderation. So I try to obey it as much as possible, although I do overdo some things sometimes. I don't have a strict exercise routine or anything like that, but I do have an exercise bicycle, which I do use sometimes.
Okay. And I believe you play the harmonium. Do you want to share something about how you got into playing the harmonium?
I had a love for music from a very young age, until my family bought a harmonium in 1960s.
Okay.
And from then, Nobody taught me how to play it, but I was so interested, I got to play it myself.
Lovely. Mr. Latchman, we have about a minute left our interview. Is there any final comments that you want to make?
Many foreigners will be surprised to see that we Hindus in this country are still sticking to our culture. We're still promoting our language. We are promoting our Sanskrit text and all the teachings that are contained in it. So much so that many people call Durban the second India.
Okay. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Mr. Latchman.
So thank you so much, Mr. Latchman. That was quite an interesting interview. Can you please unmute your mic? Are you
Salima,
able
we
to
have
unmute?
video. We have the video recording of the harmonium.
Okay, let's just leave that for a minute. I just want to, thanks so much, Kogi. I just want to ask Mr. Latchman a question that's raised in the chat, and this is from Diksha Pillai. Diksha wants to know whether or not you believe that the younger Indian generation in South Africa really understand and appreciate the sacrifices you and your generation made. Or do you feel perhaps that they have a sense of entitlement?
Our young generation, when we go to the temple, we see that we have very few youth coming to the temple. It seems that they are influenced very much by other factors around them. We don't know what it could be, but I would urge them to stick to their culture, to stick to what we have been doing. And I believe our Hindu religion, which is the oldest in the world, has many, many benefits for them. And if they do that, they will find that their lives will improve greatly in all aspects. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Latchman, are there any programs at the Mandir specifically for the youths?
Pardon?
Are there any programs at the Mandir that you attend specifically for the youths?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Since COVID.
Yes.
Okay. So where would youths be able to get a sense of Indianness in your area?
There are numerous temples in our area, and I will urge our youth and all those people who are not interested in Hindu religion to attend these temples where they will get enlightenment and they will be able to appreciate our Hindu culture.
Okay, well, there are some aspects of Indian culture that are not necessarily Hindu, and I wonder whether or not the youths in your area might be interested in that. For example, yoga or meditation or even Ayurveda. Can you comment on that?
There are some people who do have yoga classes. There are some teachers who conduct music classes where they teach harmonium, tabla, and vocals. Also, thank you.
Okay, great. So Shakira, let's get that little clip with Mr. Latchman playing the harmonium.
So, Mr. Latchman, what is the name of the song that you're going to be playing for us?
It is Sita Ram Kaho.
Okay, we start.
I'm going to ask Mr. Latchman. That was really nice. I want to ask Mr. Badruddin, who is our fourth speaker and also a lover of the harmonium. He plays as well and is, originally self-taught, to comment. You want to unmute, Badru? Please unmute. One more time. One more time. You're still muted. Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay. Yeah, that's so coincidental, and to see that even though we are spread so far apart, that we have the same activity. I think that sound of the harmonium is the nostalgic, melodic journey that keep us connected to India. And I feel proud to see someone else is doing it in the diaspora, just like I'm doing. I also learned by ear. Nobody taught me. And what I hear is what I can play. And we seem to have some musical genes in the family. So I was very excited to see you play that harmonium and play so well.
Great, thank you so much. So, Mr. Latchman, as well, while you were playing, I was looking at all the little photos and so on that you were showing. That could easily have been somewhere in Trinidad. It really was so not unique, but it really fits so well into our understanding and our, I think, past in the Indian diaspora. I want to thank you so very much for sharing with us. And Kogi, as always, thank you so much for doing the interview and such a wonderful job with it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Latchman has been he's been muted. Maybe he might just want to make one or two final comments.
Yeah.
He's been muted.
Sure.
Can Mr. Latchman, can you unmute? Yeah, I think he was trying to respond earlier, but we didn't hear him. Maybe he might have a response for Mr. Badruddin.
Mr. Latchman, would you like to comment?
I just want to thank Kogi for the hard work that she has been doing and interviewing me. This has been quite an experience and it's wonderful. We want you and your network to continue with the wonderful work that you're doing and connecting us from different parts of the world. It's wonderful. Carry on with your good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
so
the
much.
Shalima and team.
Yeah, thank you so very much. On behalf of Dr. Mahabir, Shakira, Kogi, and so many others who do come in at various times. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on our second elder now. And this lady we call Mama. So this is Rosie Dur. She's 73 years old. She was married at the age of 18. And she had a very interesting life in that she used to have to plant vegetables, milk cows, all the while taking care of her 5 children and so on. She sold her vegetables near the highway or near the center of sugarcane production in Trinidad and Tobago, which is at the Brecon Castle factory. So welcome, Mama. But before we get started with chatting, I want to ask Shakira to play something for you. You see, your loving son Simon and wonderful daughter-in-law Jaya informed us that your birthday was on October 31st, and we know it was commemorated on October 14th. So Shakira, please just bring that song for us. Thanks. So, Mama, I hope you really enjoyed that, and you enjoyed the commemoration on the 14th as well as on your birthday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And you look so pretty with your pink urni.
Thank you.
Did your mom wear urni?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, did she wear it every day?
She wear it every day, but she tie up her head with it every day. But if she going out, she just put it on her shoulder, pin it up, and put it on her head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that a practice that you had when you had just gotten married?
Well, when we now get married, we have to cover our heads.
Mm-hmm.
But as times go on and get children and things come more than I, so we never use it again.
Okay. So, did your husband ever remark to anybody or remark to you about your urni? Is it something that he appreciated, or is it something that he just thought was normal?
Well, that was a normal for those days brides,
Mm-hmm.
They have to cover the head when they got married.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tradition.
Right. And so tell me a little bit about your early married life. How old were you?
18 years of age.
Did you select your husband or was he selected for you?
He was selected for me.
By whom?
Well, maybe his mother meet up. We went somewhere and we meet up there, and so they come and ask, and so things happen.
Mm-hmm. Would you have recommended that for any of your children?
No.
Okay. Any particular reason why not?
Well, everybody get their choice. Some of them get school choice. Some of them get their own choice.
And you think that's the better way?
Well, yes, when you get your choice, even in like how I got married, it's okay too, but you take longer to communicate with your partner. But so when you get your own partner at a young age, you know one another better.
Right. And that's important in marriage.
Yes.
Communication.
Yes, because sometimes when they have a choice and they get somebody for you, it takes a longer period to understand the person, not to understand things. But so when you have a relationship, you understand one another. So when you get married, you could have a better marriage.
Mm-hmm. When you started to have children, how old were you?
The first child I had at 19.
Oh, so soon after you got married, you
Yeah.
got pregnant.
Yes.
When you had to deliver this baby, did you go to the hospital or did you have a midwife come home to you?
No, Cuba Hospital, Cuba Maternity Unit.
Okay. And by the time you came home with your baby, were there any particular traditional practices that had to be done?
Yeah, well, when we come out from the car, anybody who was there, my mother, they take up some stones from outside and then, like, you know about chain across your head and thing?
Right, yeah.
And they put it 4 corners, show it 4 corners and one on top, and then they take you inside with your baby.
Right. And when you get inside with the baby, after the throwing of the stones and putting it in the 4 corners, was there anything in particular that happened inside when you got there with your baby?
Not really. You just relax until you bathe for 6 days, and then they have a little something.
Something like a prayer.
Like a barahi or a chatti, 6 or 12 days, where you make halwa and thing, and invite a few neighbors, your little relatives, and so.
And is this when the baby's name was selected, or did you select the baby name?
Well, the pundit select the name, but otherwise we give an English name.
Okay. And when the Pandit would select the name, is it 6 days or 12 days later?
Anytime you go with the date of birth, the time, the hour, the date, you will select it for you.
Right. Okay. And so what did you call your children? Did you call your children by the name that the Pandit gave to them or by the name that you would have selected?
Give them the name, the English name what I select.
Any particular reason for doing that?
Well, it wasn't really particular, but you know, long time was like English name for young children, you understand?
Mhm.
Even in the birth paper, they have the English name, you know, but you know the Indian name otherwise.
Did you feel compelled to use their English names?
No, feel comfortable.
Okay. All right. Now tell me, when your children were going to get married, did they have very similar practices to when you got married, or was it different?
Wasn't too different, but nearly the same way. The Pandit come, they have same rites, rituals,
Mhm.
and they got married by that.
Okay, so what did the Pandit have to come to do?
Well, to say prayers and to write sign a lawful paper.
Did your children, daughters-in-law in particular, wear sindoor?
Not really.
What about you?
I used to wear, but not again.
You want to share with us why not?
Well, you know, if your husband die, or beside that, like tradition time come up, you know, like you pray prayers and then you have it on, otherwise, so you don't have it on.
So when you got married, you were wearing the sindoor,
Yes.
but did you wear it every day after that?
No,
Until he
like
passed away?
if you're going to no, if you're going to prayers or wedding or so, any special occasion, not every day.
Was that common with the other ladies around you?
There's some people it was common before that, but otherwise it's only like when you have prayers, you sit down to listen to prayers, or you're going a special occasion, they wear it.
Okay. All right. You had told us that in your youth, all of your cooking was done by fireside. Is that correct?
In the younger age, afterwards, like I get 50 or so, 40 somethings, used to cook in fireside and stove.
Okay. So can you tell us what your experience was cooking on fireside? Who built the fireside?
Well, most time my husband built it, or my in-laws built it. And sometimes we put it in top of stand, long time it should be on the ground. But then after you make a stand, fill it up with dirt, and then you put the fireside on top there. So you could have been able to stand up and use it. But in the earlier days, we had it in the ground, so you used to have to sit down with a pira.
Okay.
To make a roti or sake the roti or whatever.
Was it easy to cook on a fireside?
Well, that is what you grew up in, your custom with it, but when you get accustomed with the stove, still I had the stove, but like when you get a tradition, like little special food, you want to cook on the fireside.
So what is special food for you?
Maybe curry pigeon peas, curry duck.
So it tastes better on the fireside.
Maybe the children love it in the fireside. But most of the fires. Now
So
the
the
children, if any relatives come by, we they rather the fireside. Especially the peas down.
But are they helping you to cook it on the fireside?
No, they do not have work. They may help shell the peas, not to cook it.
Okay, so you alone chunky in the pot?
Yes, of course, with home grain masala.
Ah, nice. Where do you get whole grain masala?
Well, we used to buy it, have a mill cheese village, and wash it. And then my husband used to carry it to grind, and then we bring it home and sift it and put it in bottles. Mix it with saffron.
How long does it last?
Well, a corn, if you buy 2 pounds of what, when you well patch it and you grind, it lasts a long while. Yeah, yeah.
Like a
Maybe
few
1
months
pound
or
lasts
so.
a month because you don't have to put too much masala. You don't have to put too much of that, like how nowadays you put more curry. But that
So
was a
it's
strict thing, you had to cook with that masala.
right. Now, Mama, I know that you have a little issue with rheumatoid arthritis. And I also know that you use a lot of traditional Indian practices to help you manage it.
Yes.
You want to share some of that with us?
Yes, I could share it.
What do
Well,
you do first in the morning?
First, when I get up in the morning, I drink a cup of water from a magnetic cup after I brush my teeth. Then I make some spiced tea and then after that I drink some hot water and go to do some yoga stretches. And then I go to take a half an hour around the house. They call it the around because I can't go on the treadmill again. And then after I come and drink a cup of spiced tea with silly mint leaf and spice and clove. And during the day I drink some of the tea too.
Only drink it.
With ice in icy hot tea.
Right. So you have this, is it the spiced tea that you're drinking throughout the day?
Yes, through the day. That had it's spice and it's sometimes I put a little nutmeg, clove, and silly mint leaf.
Right. So for some
Sometimes I
people,
put a fever grass. Not every day.
Okay. And talk about the yoga stretches. Are there any particular postures that you do?
No, a good few. Surya, then we do some stretches, then touch toes, then a good few, not two. I doesn't do it more than half an hour because I can't manage it now more than half an hour.
Okay, right. And has that helped you?
Of course. It did help me. The walking does help me and the yoga, the exercise.
The exercise.
I just drink the hot tea throughout the day. The tea, what I tell you?
Yeah.
I just drink it throughout the day. Where I tell you this spice.
Okay, Simon, she's muted. I need you to unmute her, please. Good.
I just put spice, whole spice. I just put some whole clove. I just put the silly mint leaf, and sometimes I just put a fever grass. But every day I drink that at least 3-4 times for the day.
Okay, good. What about ginger? Do you use ginger?
So it don't work for me.
Okay, why does it not? What does it do to you?
It helped me, but it gave me plenty joint pains and headache too.
The ginger?
Yes. It don't agree with me.
Okay.
Not that I can't drink it now. I just get immediately difficult.
Oh, I see. Okay.
With pains.
Right.
But I could eat it with food and thing,
Okay, but not in the tea.
No, not pure things.
Do you use sweetened stuff? Simon, she's muted again. Unmute one more time. Good. Yeah. Do you eat sweets?
Maybe on a special occasion, I might eat a little power salad, maybe one mouthful or two, a little cake, but in an everyday routine, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And I don't drink my tea with sugar neither.
Right. And how about your food? What do you eat? What do you cook for yourself?
Well, since I have the rheumatoid, I don't cook for myself.
So who's cooking that peas dal on the fireside?
That at that time, not now. That will give me the rheumatoid.
Oh, okay. All right. So when Simon, Jaya, and they are cooking for you, and your other daughter-in-law, and so on, when they are cooking for you, is there anything in particular that they have to cook for you?
No, but they cook them food. What
Right.
they cook, I eat.
All right. And what would that be?
Anything they cook, dal and rice and chicken, or dal and rice and bhaji, or lentil and rice, or red bean and rice, anything.
Right.
But before that, when I used to milk the cows, I used to boil the milk in a fireside,
Uh-huh.
and then take out the cream and fill it in a bottle. We didn't have no electricity, neither for a fridge. And then when 1 or 2 weeks pass, you swizzle it up and sew the ghee come out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you boil the milk and take out the cream, that balance of milk, you put some of the cream in it, the spoiled cream, and then we get dahi.
Mm-hmm.
And you make dahi. And sometimes when I boil it, I make the dahi, I make some sweet rice with the pure milk,
Mm-hmm.
what they call kheer.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Do you
Very
still
tasty.
use dahi?
Once a while, a little bit, because it has affect me with the rheumatoid.
Right. So the
But
milk
still,
itself, the cow milk itself affects you with the rheumatoid arthritis.
yes. I don't use dairy product.
Right.
I was usually soya milk.
Soya only, no almond.
Well, maybe, but I use the soya milk in my tea sometimes. Sometimes I drink it just.
Mm-hmm. So, Kasraj is asking about your use of turmeric. I know when you said saffron earlier, Kasraj, I'm sure you remember that in Trinidad we confuse turmeric with saffron. It's the same thing. So, Mama, do you use turmeric tea often?
Not too often, but I take the capsule often.
Okay. So you don't use the root form.
Yes, I just use it now and again, but sometimes the way how my fingers work to grate it, remember I had to grate it. My
Right.
fingers don't work because the rheumatoid in my wrist and my fingers more.
Mm-hmm.
So I use the capsule. And
Right.
the capsule have a 1 rate. Not too strong, but a 1 rate capsule. It have
Yeah.
1 rate.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you've maintained the Indian heritage in trying to treat with this particular condition. And I have to tell you again, you really amaze me in the way that you handle it.
Yes.
You don't allow it to keep you back. And for those of you in the audience who know Mama, I'm sure you'll agree with me. She's involved in everything. She's a very busy lady. And for those of you who don't know her, I want to invite you now, please, if you have any questions for her, feel free to raise your hand and we can go ahead and have you pose a question yourself.
Well, I have a temple in my yard. That is one of my duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is one of my duty every day.
Mm-hmm.
After I done take exercise and have a shower, I go and pick flowers, take up my dry flowers, light with deer. That is an everyday routine for about more than 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Even
And
my husband was sick and I have to take care of him, and my mother was sick too. I take care of my mother for a certain amount of years. Still, that was an everyday routine for me. And I never stopped taking exercise, especially walking.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's important.
Maybe I skip out a little while, but from the age of 50, I always walking on the road, then on a treadmill, and now I'm walking around the eve.
Yeah, so that's terrific. I'm not seeing anybody raising their hands, but I know that a number of people here know you and appreciate you, and Simon and Jaya, and I want to say keep doing the good stuff that you're doing, and I hope we can talk to you again next year on the program, and by then you might have some new remedies for us.
Yes. And one thing again I want to say, I changed my lifestyle by eating too.
Mm-hmm. How did you change that?
I eat the same things, but not much. As I eat more vegetables, I eat more salad. I eat everything at moderate, but I eat more fresh salad.
Right. So raw food.
Yeah, if I do eat cricks, I eat it with cucumber, grate up cucumber, cut up tomatoes. I don't use butter and thing. And maybe a little cheese sometime here. For my breakfast or so. I use cricks and that.
Well, you're doing very good, Mama, I must say. So
Yes,
thank you
thanks.
so much.
Yes. And I'm losing a good weight too.
I know. All right, great. So you keep it up.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you so much.
Thanks you all too.
All right, you have a good day.
Your audience to have a good day there.
Wonderful.
Mm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mrs. Rosie Dur, 73 years young, and she keeps going. At this time, I want to bring on our third speaker. And this is a very special gentleman to us, Mr. Bob Ramrup. So Mr. Ramrup is 85 years old. He's a recipient of several awards, including one from the Diaspora Hindu School for Community Service and another from Gopio International for the promotion of Indian culture in Martinique. He is heavily involved in Indian culture in Trinidad and Tobago and is also a recurring president, or was a recurring president, of the last East Indian Friendly Society in Trinidad and Tobago. That's the Gasperlo East Indian Friendly Society. Welcome, Mr. Ramrup.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you on the program finally.
Thanks very much.
So I want you, please, to introduce yourself to the audience by sharing with them a little bit about your childhood. Tell us about your parents and where you grew up, please.
My name is Bob Ramrup. I'm from Gasperlo. I'm a third generation Indian. I went to school at Bonaventure Presbyterian School. In my days, bare feet. I learned to write the alphabet in sand, box of sand, 18 by 18 inches, to do ABC. But I had a problem after 3 months. I found myself was lice and sugar. I don't know if you know what the lice and sugar is. But my parents took me out from there and sent me to Gasperlo Government School. And those were all bare feet. I went to elementary school bare feet, and in the 50s, I went on to college. I did some economics and I did some British Constitution. I was very interested in politics, and I contested local election and I won handsomely in 28 out of 28 polling divisions in 1968. I am one of the founders of the Diaspora Hindu Mandir, which is just a couple of yards from my home. There were no, in those days, there was a Presbyterian church, Anglican church, a Catholic church, a Muslim church. There was no place for Hindus to pray. And myself and other young Indians got together and decided we must do something. And in 1963, we started a small group, rented a hall, and started a Sunday morning service. This was our awakening to the Hindu community. We attract more than 150 young people wearing shirt and ties and gilbert saris coming to Sunday morning service, something never heard before. We then move on to our premises at 139 Bonaventure Gospel. And we have a nice temple now, the 74 by 28, beautiful temple inside. And we carry on Sunday morning service non-stop since 1963. We have had cooking classes, we had yoga classes, we have management courses. We are still day to day, and we observe all religious occasions: Shivratri, Hanuman Jayanti, Diwali, you name it, Krishna Janmashtami, all the services we do. Right? Apart from that, I'm also a founding member of the National Council of Indian Culture, founded in 1964. In those days, there were no organizations promoting culture. Farewell nights, you'll have a couple of people singing with musicians. Transport was very limited in them days. And when the radio station was introduced, in fact, I should tell you, in 1947, the first Indian program was aired by Kamaluddin Ahmed. That's half an hour every Friday evening. The Indians all over the country who had radios will wait for Friday evening to listen to music. It's a fantastic, you know. So we started when we got together, 1966, we started public Diwali celebrations in Harris Promenade, San Fernando. And that went on from 1966 to 1985 when we got our headquarters in Diwali Nagar, Shabonas. So we have come a long way in terms of promoting Diwali. Diwali Queen. Now we have a 9 days festival of Diwali celebrations. Currently started on Friday ago. We attract almost 150,000 people during those 9 days. One important thing I want to note is during the 50s and 60s, Hindus were never recognized for the contribution of culture. The newspapers will carry a little column, 3x4, Hindus celebrated Diwali yesterday, and that was it. Only when we started Diwali programs in 1986, there was an influx of news media, television, radio station, everything. There are now 8 Indian radio stations. There are 6 Indian television stations. The media now plays an integral part in promoting Hinduism. And what is interesting, I should tell you, when we started in 1986, the bank became aware of the situation and the popularity of Diwali Nagar. The bank started sharing parasad. The girls in the bank wear saris. Never had before. Never had before. So every day now you find people are looking for the Indian dollar in terms of promotion. So it's not a problem in terms of promoting Diwali anywhere. Now throughout the country now, Diwali celebrations are held all over all the villages. Since we had electricity, schools, would you believe the Prime Minister Basif Pandey, when he became Prime Minister, he held Diwali celebrations and puja in his residence. Since then, every government ministry celebrates Diwali. Even in the jail, they celebrate Diwali.
It's true.
Yeah. The Presbyterian Church, the convent, they all celebrate Diwali. It's now a national event, right? So we have come a long way in establishing Hinduism and Diwali in Trinidad.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Mr.
Yeah.
Ramrup, I want to get some info about my earliest recollection of Diwali Nagar, which was this spectacular heritage and traditional village staged at the Mid-Center Mall in Chaguanas. Was that a project of the NCIC?
Yes, it is piloted by Hans Hanuman Singh, who is the president. He, a Presbyterian, but came his forefathers were all Indians, and he wanted to create a village as is in India. And he got permission from Mid-Center Mall to hold this celebration. We created a Diwali village. I can't remember the first year or the second year. We had a singer, a devotional singer called Harium Sharan.
Yeah.
When
Think
he
it was in
started,
the second year.
yeah, when he started to sing, rain began to fall. 10,000 people listening. Nobody moves.
Yeah.
Tuesday enthusiasm, you know.
Yeah.
So that itself brought Hindus together.
Mhm.
Afterward, we had other devotional singers time to time. We had a Ramayana ballet from India brought into Trinidad, right? We had other devotional singers who came, Lata Mangeshkar. The others I can't remember off the bat. But then we started from there until 1991. We were struggling to get a parcel of land to create a center, Diwali Nagar Center. For 20 years, we traversed every Ministry of Culture and they blanked us. Only in 1991, when the change of government, the NR government, we were granted 15 acres of land to hold a heritage site. But I will tell you one thing which the population doesn't know. We got this piece of land. We had no money to develop the land. Siran brothers did all the earthworks free for us. Dr. Brinsley Samaru was Minister of Agriculture. Donated all the gravel and all the fill. And they got contractors to do all the transport free. Such was their love for these things. Now, we approached a bank for a loan to put on us to develop the site. The bank, I will not call the bank name, but they said, you have an excellent idea. We support you. We're sorry you have no collateral, we can't help you. Hanuman Singh and the treasurer Sharma came to my house at 9 o'clock in the night and told me the position. Next morning, I journeyed to Royal Bank in Port of Spain. I met Joram Kisoon, late Tyrone Ramtahar Singh, Devkiran Sharma, and myself. 5 of us stood as guarantors in order to get money to develop the site. So I'm just telling you where we were and what we are. We were so hopeful. The other part of it, we put on an office and we employed a secretary. After a month, we got money, right? And this is you working for $600 a month, I think. The treasurer asked all members to lend $100 a month to pay salaries and for incidentals, right? Almost a year, but we never asked back for any money because of our love for culture.
Yeah.
Right. So
Superseded
today
everything.
we have now international visitors. People from all around the world come to Diwali Nagar. From America, take the holidays. We have people from Martinique and Guadeloupe and Suriname. They all come every year to Diwali Nagar. So it is now a tourism industry. That's what Diwali Nagar is.
But Mr. Ramrup, I have to say, so just yesterday, last night actually, Shakira, myself, Dr. Mahabir, in addition to my dad, my other sister, his brother, and so on, we would have gone to the Nagar. And it was, as usual, quite a lovely cultural show. Well spread commercial activity is taking place there. But I would have liked to see a little more of the Indian culture and heritage through Indian artifacts, reminiscent of what took place in the early in Mid-Center Mall. I missed that. I felt it lacked that. I missed getting part of the Diwali feel from there. There isn't even a diya. Maybe I would have missed it somewhere. There wasn't that diya, the scent of the oil of the diya, letting you know that this thing is not just a cultural show, but it has to do with Diwali. So I don't know whether others might have expressed that to you, and even you might have made that observation. Can you please comment?
I think you missed out the most important part. That is the exhibition center. The 60 paintings and presentation Baba Moria from India. Every year he comes. And if you want to appreciate the theme this year, Dharti Mata, you should go and see the exhibition. It takes about an hour and a half to look at that. At the back of the building, there's a Hare Rama, Hare Krishna who will be there with us. Inside the auditorium, there are all the religious booths. I don't know if you have been inside.
Yes, we did.
Right, good. Right. Now, we have plans also to do a heritage center. We have the land already. We have set up this already. We started this project, the launch in 2005 by Dr. Ramrup, who recently passed away. So we are working toward that, but it's a large project. It's your token heritage from 1845 to now. Okay. We have already a collection of books. We have a collection of materials. We have on the back, we have an old train engine, a train engine, which was a haulage for cane. And we have copper, where animals drink water.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And the site that we propose we're going to have all religious trees planted. That will be a separate botanical garden to put it that way.
Okay.
That's in the comment, but it'll take a little time.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Now, I want you to share a little bit with the audience. We have just about 5 minutes left. And I want you to share a little bit with the audience about your involvement in the East Indian Friendly Society.
Oh, I should go there. When our forefathers came, they were all bare feet. They were all in the sugarcane industry. They were working for 24 cents a day, 1 shilling per day. They protested, and they were given increase to 48 cents. Right? But their working hours were extended. About 24 cents a shilling per day. There were no social activities. If you're sick, there are no medical facilities. So the Hindus, Muslims, and Christians got together in 1925 and formed an organization to help one another. There was a wedding, we all get together and cook and donate materials. There's a funeral, we all get together and carry the funeral to the ground in a marching fashion, right? We all chipped in and helped one another. That is where the society formed between Hindus, Muslims, and Christians. There's no discrimination there, and the society still exists today, 98 years old. There have been other Indian societies in Princess Town and Sangano, they all collapsed. Anything else you can? Yeah.
Right. So now tell our audience, please, what activities take place in the current Gasparilla East Indian Friendly Society?
Not much, except we have health visits, we have funeral benefits, we have social activities, we have Diwali celebrations on Saturday, we do Eid celebrations also, do Christmas celebrations, because it's all multi-religious. We have, in 1995, 30th of May, together with the NCIC, we planted an Ashoka tree at the entrance of the highway to Diaspora. And that tree is about 30 feet tall now. It's a landmark coming to Diaspora. The effort of the East Indian in Diaspora.
Right. And how have the East Indians in Gasparilla been able to develop Gasparilla? I know you yourself are a business owner and you would have started very humbly and now quite established in Gasparilla. How have some of the other Indians in Gasparilla helped to develop the area?
Well, Diaspora at them days it was 70% Indians and 30% Africans, right? And it's a question of self-help. Families helping one another. In my own case, my families get together and help me. And the other thing is the families help to mix concrete, to do that, to donate something. That's the spirit of the East Indians in Trinidad, to help one another. If you have plenty mangoes, you share it to your neighbors. Plenty fruits, you share it. That's our spirit.
So what are some of the other businesses? You have a hardware. What are some of the other businesses that Indians in the area own?
All the businesses, except KFC and Royal Castle, are owned by Indians. For the main road, you can't get land to buy to start with.
It's
Right?
true.
So we have 4 schools, 4 or 5. There are 2 Hindu schools, 2 government schools, 1 Presbyterian school. The bakery have about 3 or 4 pharmacies, the medical
Supermarkets.
Yeah, everything. Plenty of supermarkets. As the communication is easy now, everything is internet here now. You can buy, order things and get you whatever you want now. So I developed a village. The only problem is now, long ago, we used to go San Fernando shopping for Christmas, window shopping. But today, we can't even go daylight to a shop. That's our big problem.
Yeah. You want to tell the audience why?
Because of crime. Crime. And crime on the East Indian community. There's no question about that. Crime on the business community.
How has crime affected you directly in your business?
Well, that and COVID, COVID is a major factor to start with. COVID is a drop in business throughout Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yes, for everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
And people now are very careful buying or going out after 6 o'clock. Very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing Dr. David Subran. He placed a comment in the chat. He says, I would like to see at the annual Diwali Nagar celebrations, annual display of paintings by local artists depicting Indian culture in Trinidad and Tobago, together with depictions of the early life and of indentured Indians in this country.
So we have had that. Shastri Maharaj, a well-known artist from Central Trinidad. They have many exhibitions, art exhibitions. There are book exhibitions also. There are a lot of things still in the making. And remember, we are a voluntary organization, right? We give. I must say this. All the people in Nagar have been business people, church people, teachers, lawyers, doctors. Everybody has pulled themselves together as a voluntary group. Nobody takes, everybody puts into it.
Yeah. Well, I want to congratulate you on your good work at the NCIC, as well as the East Indian Friendly Society and all the other organizations, several other organizations that you contribute to. And thank you so much for flying the flag of Indian culture and, of course, Hinduism, which is important to you.
One thing I want to tell you, we have spread our wings in the Caribbean. We have established branches in all the Caribbean islands. We are promoting Indian culture in the French territories of Martinique and Guadeloupe the last 25 years.
Excellent. Mm-hmm.
They in turn come here. In fact, we have sent people to dance, to learn to teach dance, to learn to cook, Indian cooking, because they don't know about making roti and things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or make masala,
Mhm.
achar masala. So we play our part.
Yeah. And it's quite a significant part. I want to thank you so very much for sharing and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just heard from Mr. Bob Ramrup, 85 years old and doing a fantastic job still with his business, his extracurricular activities, and with his family. We want to move on now to our fourth and final speaker, and this is none other than Mr. Badruddin. He's 78 years old. He's a retired entrepreneur who ran his own corporation. He's also the author of the book Out of the Doubles Kitchen, a memoir of the first family of doubles, the national street food of Trinidad and Tobago. And he's well placed to have written this excellent book, for which he has now been awarded what is something by Lester Siddhartha Ori, who is an author in Trinidad and Tobago. He's been awarded a Napoleonesque Award for Excellence. And this is especially for glamorizing and globalizing doubles. And you see, Mr. Badruddin is the son of the family who originated doubles. And we now look forward to hearing about that story. So welcome, Mr. Badruddin. Please go ahead and mute the mic. Are you able to unmute? Okay, no, I'm still seeing you muted. Robin, can you unmute?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Mm-hmm.
Hi, good evening, everyone on the panel and okay, and on the audience. First of all, I'd like to thank the organization, the ICC, Kumar Mahavi and his team of amazing volunteers, including Shalima, Shakira, and Navin in the background. I think what you guys have done and are doing is rescuing our history from the edge of oblivion. Without this forum, I think our history would be lost, like how we lost the Hindi language in Trinidad.
Yeah,
Most
thank you
of us.
so much.
So thank you for providing this forum. The slides I'm going to show, Navin, I will somewhat be delayed on the first two slides because I have a lot of information based on that. So what we're seeing here is a sign that still exists at the last outlet in Trinidad where Dean's doubles is sold. However, that is the present. But the bicycle, the freight bike that you're seeing in the lower part of the picture is the start of the doubles industry in Trinidad. It is, as I like to describe it, the doubles freight bike symbolizes the Indo-Trinidadian struggle to escape their prison of poverty. It embodies faith, diligent work, dreams, choices, determination, education, family values, of course, entrepreneurial spirit, simplicity, humility, self-sufficiency, craft, and the dignity of labor. With respect to craft, I'd like to point out in this picture, in this slide, that bicycle that we look at, Mahmoudin, my father, who had the vision to get into the doubles business, built that box to fit the cargo section of the freight bike so that doubles can be mobilized. On that bike, he has a bulb horn, bells that he would ring, and he had the famous, for people who are from Princestown, and the older folks in particular, his street cries was "Hate hat garam garam." What he was saying was, in both Hindi and English, was hot, hot, the food that he's offering. I was telling Shalima a story of his street cries and the bells and the horn that he has. If you look closely at the bicycle, you'll see a horn on the right side there. Was almost a Pavlovian experience, but he didn't know who Pavlov was and what was his psychology about. So when he rang that bell and loudly expressed his street cries, the customers down the road would be salivating, waiting to get a taste of this doubles, as the Pavlovian experience and experiment had shown with dogs, of course. So the bicycle was the instrument of mobilization for the doubles business.
How old is this bike?
This bike would go back to the 50s. It's the actual bike that my father rode, but we refurbished. As you notice, the wheels are fairly new. We did this for the launch of my book at Napa to show the iconic image of the bicycle. Mm-hmm. Now, in creating that box, the craftsmanship that he displayed and how he compartmentalized the box so that the bara and the chana are separated and the chutney separated, and then the shelves would carry the paper to wrap the doubles and the paper bag to carry it along. And it even doubled up as a cash register where the pittance of 6 cents for a double was kept in the box.
Mm-hmm. Did he start this in the 50s, or did he start this before?
In 1936, 37 is when this was started. I may not be the oldest elder on the panel tonight, but I have the story that I am going to tell is 106 years old, starting with the birth of my father in 1917 in a place called Pune in Piparo.
1917, the year that indentureship actually ended.
Yes, what a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And independence began. So the family background, I will start on slide 2 here with my grandparents. I did not know, I was born in 1945 to illiterate parents in humble beginnings, like most of our elders would know and appreciate and understand. I did not know my maternal and paternal grandmothers. They had passed away. In the case of my mother's mother, she died in childbirth, giving birth to her 9th child. And in my father's case, his mother died at childbirth, coincidentally, giving birth to the 5th child in the family. Mm-hmm. So what happened was, when these two individuals got together and an arranged marriage happened, and they got married in 1936.
That's your mother and father?
My mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
We see two people who were burdened, what should I say, burdened with the responsibility of becoming caregivers to their respective younger siblings. So they learned to cook to feed these younger siblings, each in their own houses before they even met. So when they joined forces like that, the logical and obvious thing for them to do was to do what they know best, cook
Right.
their way out of poverty.
Right.
So my father, please go back to slide 3. My father convinced my mother after they were married, within a few months. At that time, a gentleman just, one of the panel members talked about the 24 cents of shilling per day. Absolutely true. That's what my father worked for, 24 cents a day. So to feed an extended family, he took his bride to a slave barrack that his father was renting, and his brother was living there and he was living there. And he took my mother into that slave barrack. So in many ways, a piece of history for the doubles industry actually started out of a slave barrack on Bonanza Street in Princestown. And then later on, they moved to Fairfield, back to the village that my mother originated. So my father realized that he could not support his extended family, including his wife now, and he had to find a way out. So he figured out that if he was able to sell 25, let's say, cone-shaped packs of fried chana, he would exceed the pittance of pay that he receives in the Craignish Sugar Estate. And he convinced my mother to sell a goat that was her wedding gift from her father, a nanny goat, which is supposed to be the productive side of the gender of the goat, so she could have many goats. So she was reluctant to get rid of that goat, but they sold it for 7 shillings. And that money was invested in the first inventory of chana, salt, peppers, and the hand basket that my father carried around the town of Princestown, which was very near to Bonanza Street, of course. And that was the beginning of the genesis of how he and how doubles evolved through his hands in Trinidad.
When did it move from being chana in the cone-shaped pack to doubles as we know it, bara with the chana?
Well, it was an evolution process. What happened was, after being, please go back to the original, the previous slide, yes. Yes, so after selling the fried chana, he tried boil and fried chana in the same cone-shaped pack. Then, and out of a basket, a hand basket, which you see is actually, there's a towel in front of that basket, but there's a basket in his right hand. Mm-hmm. And he has the cone-shaped things. And this was later on, much later on, when we moved to San Juan in a carnival time, when he would dress in his carnival costumes, like to sell his whatever he was selling. Mm-hmm. So after the boil and fried chana, he also sold curried chana out of that basket. And then bara was something that was always there and sold in Ramleelas and government paydays and wherever. You find bara made from urdi dal, and some chutney of the day was the unit of sale. Chana was separate. So in a eureka moment, he decided to put his curry chana on a bara, a single bara. And that became popular with his customers, the customers, remember this, who said, why don't you double up on the bara? And so was the origin of the name doubles, by doubling of the bar.
Mhm.
So that, and from the basket, he went on to the bike. And from also, let's see the next slide. First of all, this is a painting by a dear friend of mine who we became friends on the internet. I haven't met him personally yet, but we talk all the time. Sanjay Dharamdas. I commissioned him to paint that, to have this painting done of my father's first location of selling doubles was in Princestown in the triangle, which they call the square, under the big shade tree in the middle of the triangle in Princestown, 1936, 1937. This was happening for the first time, doubles being sold on a bicycle like that. I wanted to keep that as a family treasure. We did not have a picture of it, but we got Sanjay to do a fantastic job, who coincidentally in the 50s, his father and he himself sold doubles. So by painting this image of what would have happened in Princestown in 1936, 1937, was something personal for him also. So I was so lucky to have brother Sanjay Dharamdas do this painting for me. Yeah.
And I know you were describing to me earlier who are some of the people in the painting. You want to share that with the audience?
No. That was a secret between the
Okay. Okay.
I will
But
have I will have to marry you to tell you the names in public.
okay, let's leave those names behind.
Yes.
So as it is, doubles became ubiquitous, and I just want you to please, if you could, just share with us how that doubles recipe would have shifted from Dean's to Ali's, who is quite well known as being the largest commercial seller of doubles in Trinidad, at least in
Absolutely.
South.
What is interesting in this story, in this family story, is my father's two sisters married my mother's two brothers. They are the Alis. My father introduced them. Remember, he's coming from a cooking background of supporting his siblings and similarly my mother. And so they were the ones in whose hands this cooking was a part of their life, and they started the cooking. When my father saw that this thing is taking off, it's getting popular, and he's making money in this thing, he decided to bring in his brothers-in-law who were unemployed at the time, and they joined him and sold Dean's doubles, to be exact. But at that time, there were no signs on the boxes, so nobody knows whose doubles a person is selling. So they started selling for my father, and my father would pay them. They agreed upon amount for selling. And the story was told by the senior Ali brother, the older one, Asghar Ali in San Fernando, and his children are very familiar with the story, that Mahmoudin, my father, was such a charismatic salesman that they would bring back doubles when they started selling for him. They couldn't sell it. He would take all the chana and bara chutney and go back into Princestown, sell it out, and bring back and still pay them for the agreed upon salaries or monies. So later on, they like after 1938, they got their own houses. That's the Ali brothers, next to my father, who helped negotiate the securing of those lots of land in Fairfield on the main road. And remember always that he had the paternalistic responsibility for his sisters. So he had a vested interest in making sure that his sisters were well taken care of. And as a result, it was not like competition, but it was with blessings that he let them start their own business. So the history will have it, and the records will have it when they bought that pieces of land, and it was not in 1936. So there's no question in the chronology of events that Dean, my parents, were the first to market doubles via the bicycles and so on, the freight bike, and they joined later on.
Right.
So any story that is different or deviating from those facts is not true, and that can be easily proven. We have the
Right.
chronology to back us up.
Right. So tell us now how you all moved from, how or why you all would have moved from Fairfield to, and this would be only the Deans moving from Fairfield to San Juan. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, when my twin brothers, my first brothers, first children of my parents were identical twins. There they are in this picture. My parents are in the sitting there. That's in the early 50s. This picture was taken, and the twin boys, fairly identical. Habil on the right and Kabil on the left, and I believe that that is Arabic for Cain and Abel. When they reached the ripe old age of 15, my father's vision was to have his 6 sons become doubles men and have a doubles empire with his 6 sons. So at the age of 15, when they were strong enough to maneuver a freight bike with the doubles cargo, they were given their respective bicycles. So Habil was left in Princestown, in the town center, and he took Kabil to Sao to expand the business to the north. But 4 years later, at the age of 19, Habil died from the Asian flu, and he got a relapse of it. It was quite a shock. And 1 year later, Habil died on July 26th. Yeah, these are what I describe in this picture as Princestown was named after 2 princes from England that came to the town. But we had our own 2 princes of Princestown. They were Habil and Kabil.
I know it must be difficult talking about this. So Habil and later Kabil
Yes.
would pass on.
October 2nd of 1957, Kabil passed away. And it was a devastation of the family. We just, it was a nightmare. We were in a twilight zone where nightmare was mixing with or merging with reality. Family came over and took charge while we were in such great grief, especially my mother, who suffered the most, where her 2 pride and joy, her hope for the future of the hard life that she had. So after the death of the 2 boys, we abandoned the Princestown homestead, which we owned, because with that type of a blow, and my father was already living in Sao temporarily back and forth. They decided that we would abandon that property, and we packed up the remains of our shattered lives on a truck.
And you moved to San Juan. You moved to San Juan. The entire family would have moved to San Juan, but the doubles business continued.
So this brother Jamalo, who is the hero, I have written on the slide, our family hero, who at age 15 became our pillar of strength, who helped us find hope in the midst of ruin, in starting our lives in Samoa after losing everything in Princestown.
How old were you at this time?
I was 12 years old.
And what role did you play in the doubles business? Any at all?
Well, yes, but let me go back a little bit to the incident of in losing the Princestown side. Remember something that my father built from scratch. He had to go now to Samoa and teach the people what doubles are, and by giving them samples and things like that.
Right.
So
you want to just tell the audience what the ethnic makeup of the San Juan area was like, as opposed to what it was like down in Princestown?
Yeah, in Princestown, we were basically an Indian community in Fairfield. And to move to Samoa, where it was an Afro-Trinidadian population with a lot of mixed people and Spanish mix, Douglas mix, and whatever. So we were definitely the coolies from the country that came to town, even with our own English language. The way we would pronounce our words and so on was Fairfield, was the Fairfield lingua franca.
And how different was that?
That was very different. I remember we went as a little boy at 12 years old, going to Sao and using language like "Wade," meaning "where is he?" or something like that. And people would laugh at us. We can't speak the language properly. So we were latecomers to the English language. And the vindication I have is that I lived long enough to write a book in the English language that all can read and know the story of where we came from.
Yeah. So how does this 12-year-old grieving child, who's reliant on his older brother to prop the business at a time when your parents were both weakened by grief, how does this 12-year-old boy emerge to be a university graduate and one who would then document the story of the family in this book? What motivated you?
Well, I think my mother, in her illiterate way, she went to an elementary school graduation, if you want to call it. It was the Gandhi Memorial Vedic School. Please back up. No, go the other way. Yes, please stay there for a moment. Yes. So she went there, and the teacher, Mr. Leslie Kumar Mizur, told her, please send this boy to high school. He has potential. And she came and convinced my father to send me to high school. And that's where was the start of my, if you want to call it, turning away from the doubles industry and coming out of the doubles kitchen. Was with education.
I wish Mr. Les Kumar Mr. was on the program right now. We haven't seen him for a little while, but he has been quite often on the program.
I know he was very instrumental in the book launch in Ottawa. He and his wife Mary
yes.
were very helpful, and we had a very successful launch in Ottawa. And he even attended the launch and spoke in Toronto as well.
Can you show the audience the book?
If you go to the last page, you'll see it on the left side there. But we are not there yet. we are preempting. Okay.
Yeah. So we are at 5 p.m. here in Trinidad. And I just wanted, unfortunately, half an hour with you has gone very quickly. It's been an extraordinary story, but I want us to just focus on that for a few minutes. Back to the cover, Shakir. Okay. because this book is widely available. So the entire story of your family is in this book. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And
It's a memoir
where
of
can
the
members of
family.
the audience access this book?
They were available until recently in most of the bookstores in Trinidad. There might be some there still, but we have difficulties in getting books in and out of Trinidad. And also it's available on Amazon.com, which is the most accessible. And it's in hard copy and in Kindle format, digital books. And I'm planning to do an audiobook on this soon as we figure out how they could clone my voice to read my book with
Okay.
AI.
Yeah. You want to tell us who's in this picture?
Okay, this was at the book launch at Napa, and these are the surviving siblings. Sat on the left is my sister Sham. I am there next to her, and Shamal. I wish I could have had the time to tell the story of Shamal, the born entrepreneur who, I will quickly say, when we were in elementary school, his entrepreneurship was blossoming, where he would sell sugar cakes that my mother made at the recess time. So his favorite subject was recess. He was making money already at the age of 10.
And sugar cake is made with the coconut, cooked down with sugar and some spices.
And my mother would add some coloring, so you had pink ones and white ones. Oh my!
Yeah. Yummy.
And my brother next to him is Idul. He lives in Winnipeg, Canada. I sponsored him to go to Canada, and left him in the cold and came to Miami. And my sister, who still lives she's in her 80s and she lives in Tablan, is on the right. Hamidan is her name. And I must add that Shamal, the entrepreneur, after his mission was to take doubles out of the streets, he ended up with a restaurant in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, that still stands as Dean's Restaurant, even though it was sold with the name there also. And that he ran it for about 37 years and introduced doubles to the white Canadians who were lining up in the snow to come and eat doubles with knife and fork.
Wow.
I also wanted to put, if you go back a couple of slides, please, to where, okay, that's me on the train. That's how I finance my tertiary education. I work as a waiter on Canadian National Railways, balancing plates on a large tray at 60 miles an hour when the train was rocking. If you go back to the next slide, please. I married my amazing Grace in 1968, and that's where my journey started into Canada. And one more, this is the one I wanted to show. The Travel Channel discovered us through my book and sent a team to tell the story of the origin of doubles in Trinidad. And this picture represents what was happening. But what even more so, I'd like to conclude with, from a handbasket to reaching the global audience through the Travel Channel is the journey of doubles today.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please raise your electronic hand and I'll give you just about 2 minutes. Okay, Dr. Subran, go ahead, please. Very quickly, let's just have your question very quickly, please.
Yes. An amazing historical document. And can Mr. Dean provide any documents to show that the word doubles was used in the context of describing this food item in 1936 or even as late as 1950? Because I was a student in San Fernando, 51 and 52. We had bread and chana, we had chana sold separately, and we had barra sold separately.
Okay. Yeah, let's get a response from Mr. Dean.
Yes,
thank you.
From the time he started to sell the doubles on the bicycle and the freight bike. So that was 1936, 1937 onwards to the period you're talking about. First of all, they call it chana and bara. So they wanted one bara with the chana, and then customers simultaneously, they would ask him or his brothers-in-law, the allies, to double up on the bara. So it was a synonymous. It happened at the same time when customers were asking for more, and the more was another bara, and that's how it was doubled up. But many people know chana and bara, of course. And the word doubles came in later in the language for chana and bara, and when it was made into a sandwich like with two baras embracing the chana and chutney on the inside.
Right. I don't know that something like that can really be documented, even a triple. I wasn't aware that you can get a triple. A friend of mine, both of us went to get doubles on an evening when we were coming back from, very late when we were coming back from classes. And I ordered my regular doubles. She ordered a triple. And I said, well, what is a triple? So a triple is 3 bara with equal amounts of chana in the thing. So she does not want 2 doubles. She wants to get 1 doubles with an additional bara and some chana. And nobody documents these things. There's no certificate.
I don't think it was the first time an attempt was made to document it was through my publication, because this is the story told by my parents, by their contemporaries. I did detailed audio visual recordings. It took me years in the Fairfield area and so on. I have a cousin of my mother, Aziz Abdul, and he said it nicely. He says, no one before Imamul Deen brought chana, he said, to market the way it was done through the bicycle and things like that. So in many ways, the interesting thing about the doubles business, because of illiteracy, they could not protect their intellectual property, because at that time you couldn't trademark anything in Trinidad, and they were illiterate, they didn't know. So he basically gave away his trade to the country, to the nation.
Yeah.
And people just took it. And they saw the business model that he had, and that it is a workable situation and could get them out of poverty. They can become self-made people, be your own boss. And at that time, and even up to now, I don't know how much help government helps the little guy who wants to start a business. So this was all in a self-sufficient, independent way. And it also tells the story of our people, how the struggle went on. And this is just one example that could be generalized to represent our struggle out of the cane field, and in my case, out of the doubles kitchen.
And it's a wonderful story. And, you know, up until today, people who need to get out of poverty still turn to the doubles. They started adding sahina to it, and they started adding pulori. So now you get doubles being offered by the same person who's offering sahina and pulori. And it is still the cheapest food that is quite nutritious if you look at protein carbohydrate balance, and extraordinarily tasty for just a small amount of money. So I think the economy is reflective of the volume of doubles sales. So yeah, Dr. Williams, a vehicle out of poverty. Thank you very much for that observation. And everything in this story is documented in that book, Out of the Doubles Kitchen. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Great. So for those of you who want to know more about doubles, well, you have to, if you haven't tried it before, come to Trinidad and now take a flight on Caribbean Airlines and you can purchase your doubles readily. It may not taste as good as someone who just put it together and gives it to you in your hand on that piece of paper. But at the same time, it's still one of the tastiest things you can get out of the Indian-Caribbean diaspora. So thank you so much.
Shalima,
Yes.
I'd like to finally close with one statement. Is I think that without doubles and the price, it's a complete meal. People who are misinforming people about the nutritional value. As I recently had a journalist writing that doubles give you heart attacks. So this is a complete meal, and the nutritional value of chickpeas, chana, garbanzo, as they call it, it should be advertised to let people know. And maybe this is the reason why doubles are so popular. Is filling. It's a complete meal. It has proteins. It has the fat and the oil that fried the bara, and the carbohydrates in the bara. So also with the price that remained affordable to everyone, I think without that sustainable food, there might have been a revolt in our country, especially in times of recession and things like that, when people cannot afford a KFC or a Bacon Shack at $30 for one. So in many ways, the administrations, as they come one after the other, should recognize that this is a food of what I like to call it is a protest food. Doubles, we may I have to plug that in because it's a favorite line of mine where it's a protest food, meaning that Mahmoudin saw, instead of working for 24 cents a day, he saw the possibility and seeing from a grain of chana, he saw the seed of his destiny and decided to go forward with all determination, all effort, all strength, even with all the adversities, to pursue his dream. And I like to say he came and he gave it without taking, because he didn't become a millionaire with it, but others did.
Yeah.
It was a gift to the nation.
To do so.
It's a gift to the nation. So when people ask what's so special about doubles, I'd like to say that it kept our poor people well fed.
Yeah, excellent. And about that health thing, if people would simply drink a hot beverage after the doubles instead of a cold beverage, then all the oils would not coagulate and we would have less of a problem of heart attacks. And please just kind of minimize the amount. No need to eat 6 doubles, 2, maybe 3 would do the trick.
Anything in excess is bad for you.
It's bad for you, yes. And have it with some hot tea, some nice hot tea. I'm sure Mama Dore would agree with that. So thank you so very much. And thank you as well to all our elders today, Mrs. Rosie Dur, Mr. Bob Ramrup, Mr. Badruddin, and of course, Mr. Raj Latchman from South Africa. You all, as always, enlighten us in a way that we could never get in any other forum. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us, and as well, you know, your personal stories. That's invaluable. Thank you so very much. I'll turn you all over now to Shakira.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shaloma, and thank you all for taking the time to attend and to participate. As we've said earlier, this public meeting is being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center and the Amina Ghafoor Institute for the Study of Indentureship and its Legacies, led by Professor David Davidine, and also partly supported by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts in Trinidad and Tobago. And you can feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books and your reports. Remember that we are asking you to kindly give us your suggestions, be volunteers, as well as make donations, and you can contact Dr. Kumar Mahabir for details. We want to thank our advisory and planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mahabir, and to our IT manager behind the scenes, Ravin Ramsing, who has been recording the program and will upload it to our website and to YouTube permanently for posterity, and to Miriam Mohammed for producing our TikTok videos. Our topic next Sunday will be Seva, Sadka, and charity in the Indian diaspora. So please visit our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I am Shakira Mohammed from Trinidad and Tobago saying goodbye. May God bless you all. Dhanyavad.
Thanks, everybody. Wonderful program, as always. And thank you.
Recording stop.
We finally got you.